talking about, Ramona, this is what you have to do. You have to start off a show. After Rory gets on, talks about wrestling, then you have to come back from break with some real American. Not only am I a Clemson grad, I am an Army vet, so I did enjoy that song. And I'm a Hulkamaniac back in the day as a kid. I was a Hulkamaniac before he turned a bad guy. I've discussed this at length about how when he turned a bad guy, I cried my eyes out because I was like 7 years old.
Do we need to get Rory back on the phone?
Yeah, Rory, come on, call back in. No, Rory texts in, by the way. This again, let me give you a proper bring back from break here. Let me be professional here. It's the Morgan Thomas Show. You can follow me on Facebook or Twitter at The Morgan T Show or YouTube, The Morgan Thomas Show. It's pretty easy. It's my name. You should be able to remember my name, but, follow me. Clemson stuff. Clemson grad, Army vet as well. So that's why, I enjoy that. But Rory gets in on the text line and says, hey, by the way, forgot to tell you that I'm Walt's good friend. Well, Rory, I just want to let you know, that's nice and all, but I'm Walt's best friend. Okay. Best is better than good. Okay.
Typically.
Even though Walt doesn't ever call me, he never writes me, he doesn't text me, he rarely answers his phone when I call him, but we're still best friends, Al.
Sure. Does he remember your name?
He knows my first name.
Kudos.
He probably knows my last name because I know he follows my show.
Wait a minute. Does he know your first name? Because Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan is my middle name, so he probably doesn't know my first name. Yeah, you're right. Okay, all right. Well, I am still Walt's best friend. Longtime best friend, by the way. Long time.
Add that on there, huh?
Yes. I mean,
in case anybody else comes out of the woodwork.
The thing is, we did the draft show, Ramona, and Walt said, my best friends, Faxon and Morgan. And I was shocked. I was like, when did this happen? It was about as upsetting as when Hulk Hogan went bad. That's how upsetting. It was shocking to my life. But anyways, we can talk about my life a little bit further. Let's talk about Clemson football. We continue our discussion here on the Morgan Thomas Show on the Roar of Clemson football going into this season. Impact freshman, back to what we were talking about. Antonio Williams for me. Al, I saw him in the scrimmage. I saw him returning punts. I saw him at the kickoff return. I saw him in the slot. This guy, the coaches will not be able to keep him off the field. I feel like he is going to be an instant impact guy. Of those 5 guys I mentioned, Klubnik, Miller, Williams, Sadler, Woodaz, to me, everybody wants to talk about Miller. Everybody wants to talk about Klubnik. I'm talking about Antonio Williams. Where they needed the biggest spark, where they thought they had it with Will Taylor, but then he got injured. Where they needed the most spark, where they thought they had it with Justin Ross, but he didn't do it. Where they needed the most spark was at the slot position. Antonio Williams, Agent Zero, enter the game. Number 0 on your program, number 1 in your heart. I think Antonio Williams is going to be a huge impact player this season, and I think from the get-go.
Hey, well, that's going to be a welcome sound to the ears of Clemson fans everywhere because, that's something we sorely lacked last year. And I think it's going to be interesting, when you sent me, we were talking about some of the questions we might discuss tonight, some of the topics, and you said, which true freshman will play the most in this game? I'm like, well, that's easy. It's Blake Miller. He's starting right tackle. So I still obviously think he's going to play the most, but I think Antonio Williams would definitely have been second on my list. Now, he's got a couple of talented guys in front of him, and they've talked up Brandon Spector a lot this offseason. Everybody's been talking about the legend of Will Taylor since he got here. Obviously, he did get hurt. He's back ready to rock and roll, I believe, now. So I don't know. Is Antonio Williams third on the depth chart as we're looking at things right now, as things stand? He could be. Oh, so he's number 2. Okay, fantastic. So I think he's going to get a lot of play. He's the guy Clemson needs. He's the prototypical type slot receiver that can really get in there, make plays when he gets the ball in his hands. I'm really excited to see what he can do.
But now, of those 5, we talked about Wade Woodaz being the only defensive guy that's a freshman, true freshman. Antonio Williams, my guy. You seem to agree with that, which is the right thing to do. But was there anybody else on that list of 5 that stuck out at all?
The list of 5 that you just gave a second ago, I actually think you're going to see a good bit potentially from either Jaden Lucas or Toriano Pride at cornerback. You didn't have those on the list.
No.
So I wasn't going to bring them up, but I think those guys are going to get a lot of play, and potentially they could get some play as early as, Monday.
And that was what was interesting. They ended up putting, I think, was it Wiggins or Davis kind of flip-flopping between the two?
Sure.
And so they put one guy on both sides.
Right.
And so there is obviously another spot there that's yet to be earned by one of maybe the young freshmen out there. So we will see what happens. Going back to the guy that everybody wants to talk about, which is the Texas Gatorade Player of the Year of last year, which is Cade Klubnik, quarterback from Austin, Texas. Best player in Texas, coming to Clemson, quarterback, state champ, do it all, high-flying guy, super speedster. I watched him at spring practice. The guy literally can roll out on a designed rollout play and be out of bounds before any of the linebackers have a chance to even two-hand tag him. I think this is a lethal play call, a lethal scheme that you can do, running him almost as lethal as, say, a Lamar Jackson. I'm talking red zone. I'm talking Cade Klubnik. Run to the pylon and leave everyone in your dust. That's what I'm thinking. He is just so fast. Guys like Trenton Simpson have a difficult time keeping up with him. Now, obviously, then you have the defenses who are going to try to approach that differently, maybe bringing in the cornerbacks, blitzing from the outside, the very outside edge to stop him from rolling so fast. But he is so fast. I think it's almost going to be like a cheat code when you put him in the red zone.
Well, that's good to hear. Absolutely. That's some impressive praise there. I have not been able to see, obviously, the practices that you're privy to. You're much more important than I am in the Clemson universe, of course. But it's going to be fun to see what he can do. I really hope he gets some relevant snaps against Georgia Tech. Yeah, I was thinking that was going to be the case, honestly. I did hear a little bit of the press conference today, and it really didn't sound like for sure they knew he was going to play or not, which I thought was a bit shocking to me. I thought for sure he would play and get significant snaps. I was hoping he was going to get some snaps with the starters, but to be honest with you, right now it looks like they're going to focus on DJ, what he can bring to the table, get him into a rhythm with his starters and his, in the receivers going forward. So, and I think that's a good thing to do. Like we said, DJ Uiagalelei being option number one is the thing to do. He's the best option to have out there right now, and you got to get him in a groove.
Get in the conversation, 864-654-ROAR. Again, the number is the same that you would call as you could text. It's the same number. It's easy to remember, 864-ROAR. And 654, sorry, 864-654-ROAR. Not easy to remember. I set myself up for failure on that one. But get in the text line. Let us know what you think. Give us your opinion. This is the Morgan Thomas Show, but it's also... you could be a part of it. I'll let you. Sure. I'll allow it. Right now, 0-0, West Virginia versus Pittsburgh. 6 minutes, 30 seconds to go in the first quarter if you are not able to watch the game. We're talking about Clemson players, DJ Uiagalelei. We're talking about Cade Klubnik, impact freshman Antonio Williams. Let's talk about the running backs. So, running backs for a second. I said, when I did my Morgan ratings, I said that Will Shipley was the best player on offense. Mm-hmm. And I got a lot of negative feedback. Oh, no way, Morg. Not the best player on offense. Maybe not even the best running back on the team. And I said, wow, where did this come from? I'm telling you guys, I rewatched the Georgia Tech game. You better be thanking your maker for Will Shipley being on the Clemson Tigers, because he carried the team on offense against Georgia Tech last season. I think he's going to have a good game on Monday night. So I still think Will Shipley is number one for me.
Sure, I totally agree with you. And as a matter of fact, I've seen your Morgan ratings, and let's just say I think they need a little tweak here and there.
Let's not talk about
that. I actually talked about that on the show not too long ago. We had a couple weeks ago, but Will Shipley's one you got right, in my opinion. 100% right. I do think he is the best player on offense right now. I think he's the best running back on the team, and that people always want to take that as a slight against the other two running backs, and that's not what it is. I just think Will Shipley is that good. I think there's an argument to be made for pace right now, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you had some people calling you crazy because they thought Moffa was the best running back as well, which could potentially be the case. But right now, there's no real proof of that. Shipley is the guy. I think he got a little anxious at times last season. We talked about his drops and everything like that. But I just think he's kind of the total package at running back. I think he can do it all. I think he's going to improve on his pass catching out of the backfield this year and show why he's the number one running back on the team.
Interesting thing I noticed when looking back last season, how many reps, rushing attempts, how will they be split between the running backs? Rushing attempts. Get this, against Georgia Tech, there were 41 rush attempts for the team. Against Iowa State in the bowl game, 40 rushing attempts for the team. So there seems to be a little bit of a goal. Now, again, that's under an old offensive coordinator. Well, I guess relatively, right? Because the bowl game did have some switch up there. But 40-ish rushing attempts for the team. So if we go by that baseline right there.
Sure.
I'm thinking, or do you think Shipley gets 20?
Yeah, so I was actually I thought you were going to ask my opinion on how they should be carried and what percentages. I would go right off the top of my head, Shipley 50.
50% is what you
Pace
said.
30, Moffa 20. And if that's the case, he would get right at 20.
Can you do me the math on 30% of 40 and 15? Can you just tell me the number, Al?
13-ish.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. So you mentioned the three running backs, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, where do you throw DJ in? Okay, watch Georgia Tech here.
Sure.
Last year, Georgia Tech, Shipley 21 attempts here. DJ 8, Pace 7, Lynn J. Dixon, by the way, 5. All right. So then the Iowa State game, Shipley 18, Pace 12, DJ 6, Moffa 2. So their DJ is going to be taking some away as well with his weight loss journey, being down 30 pounds and being as agile as he is now, more so than he was last season, the entire season,
right,
and healthy with his knee. I think that you still got to give him a fair amount of snaps there, rushing attempts.
Sure, I totally agree with you. And I actually thought when you gave me the 40 number or something like that, it might have been taking out DJ's rushes. So I was only considering the running backs and their rushes as well. But yeah, I think DJ is going to get some. Of course, he's going to get design rushes just like every other quarterback gets. But he's going to get the ones where he's improving, where he can't make the play, busted play, wrong route, whatever it may be, can't find anybody open, and he's going to take off. And we're going to see if that weight loss has really helped him out.
All right, so we've talked about the running back room and how they're going to probably split the rushing attempts. I do feel like that Shipley is on pace to get 50% of the share. I think that DJ is going to take away, if anybody, he's probably going to take away from Moffa, unfortunately, just because of seniority.
Yep.
And then you got to give it to Pace. Then you got to even throw in, this is a wrinkle that I saw, Dominique Thomas. Now, I'm not just saying this because his last name's Thomas. Walk-on guy, earned a scholarship, big-time thumper in the red zone. I saw him go toe-to-toe with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and hold his own. They call him Quadzilla.
Right.
C.J. Spiller dubbed him that name. His thighs are so huge, it's hard to take the guy down. He's going to hit you. As Dabo said, he's not going to knock off a 70-yard run, but he is going to bloody your nose. And I like that toughness, especially in the red zone. Against Georgia Tech, they struggled. They were able to run the ball, but converting and keeping the ball moving. Georgia Tech had more first downs than Clemson last season.
Yeah, it was not.
It's not good, right? We don't want that again. So where do you throw in Dominique Thomas? And hey, maybe even Keith Adams Jr. There are situations where, does that mean that DJ has to do less of the rushing for the team? Because we're used to, like Trevor Lawrence, like he needs to be a factor or else the game is going to be difficult.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree with that. There were a lot of design runs with Trevor Lawrence, and he ended up just walking into the end zone on several bootlegs and plays like that. And I think they're going to try a similar thing with DJ, regardless of who's at running back. I think those plays are in the playbook for good reason. And I mean, most of the time they worked out. I don't know much about Dominique Thomas, as you were saying, just the rave reviews that he has gotten from the Morgan Thomas. So hopefully we get to see a lot from him. I do think we're going to get to see him in the first 3 games. When he's one of those that scores the last touchdown of the game type deal. So that would be a cool moment to see as well. So, we'll see what he's able to do. Clemson has struggled at times to get those yards out, like this past season, especially when it was, 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. there was no sure thing. And, just a couple years ago, it seems like 3rd and 11, no problem. 3rd and 1, struggling. How are we going to get that yard? And if Dominique Thomas is the man to do it, it's fine with me.
When we come back from break, I have a question. I'll give you the question now. I want you to ponder it while you listen to our wonderful sponsors. How many snaps? We talked about rushing attempts for the running back. How many snaps is Cade Klubnik really going to get? I love Kwak's take on it and mirroring it with other quarterback, 1-2s in the past for Clemson. I want to talk about it more. How many plays, snap series will Cade Klubnik play against Georgia Tech on Monday night? Think about it. We'll bring it back. This is the Morgan Thomas Show.